Um, Interestingly enough, I happened while I was researching to find you had written an article about the Feldenkrais method.
Yes, because of my chronic pain, I had to go through, and it was work related, I had to go through independent medical exams. And I had never heard of Feldenkrais until somebody at an independent medical exam said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this?" I'm like, "No." And they explained it to me, and I'm like, "Sign me up." And it took a long time to find somebody and find someone available that could see me. But I was living just south of Seattle at the time and found somebody in Renton, which isn't far away. Well, miles away. It takes a half hour to drive 5 miles, But she was wonderful. And there was probably the fourth or fifth visit with her that I saw her as an individual, not in a group setting. And about 4 or 5 times in, after she had done her work, which is just gentle gliding methods that you can do yourself, but if you have someone do it for you, I think is even more beneficial because they know exactly what they're doing. Um, it was the first time since I had had a CPR board thrown on me and crushing my ankle that I was pain free. And it didn't last long enough. It was like 3 hours, but just the hope of being pain free again helped me quite a lot. So I was thrilled to learn more about Feldenkrais, and I found other excellent practitioners. The hardest thing is actually finding qualified people because it's not nearly well known enough, and the practitioners just aren't that available.
Are you aware that I'm a Guild certified Feldenkrais practitioner?
I was not. That's awesome.
Yes.
Wait, how far away are you from me? I think you're right. It's about 12 hours for me.
A bit far, yes. But
Yeah.
again, having, I've been certified for 25 years and having seen an article about it from a doctor is thrilling, given that so few medical practitioners know about it. And that is a stumbling block for a lot of people. Well, my doctor's never heard of it. And doctors generally are either skeptical or, passive about it. I don't know anything about it. It probably won't do you any harm. Well, we like to think it's a little better than that. So.
I definitely agree. And it does that's one of the points like MD versus DO. DO is already more hands on, sorry, but the right doctor will go and check it out. I do think it's fair to say, I don't think it'll hurt you. So why don't you try it and then let me know how it goes? But having been a patient and having the great experience that I did, I am all for it. The biggest problem is finding practitioners near the people that need it.
Let's talk about, well, I'd like to talk about your travel writing just a little bit more. Again, how did you get into your travel writing?
So back around 2017, maybe, it might have been 2018, but whatever year it was, I had spent good 6 figures on travel. We went to Scotland for Hogmanay, which is their New Year's celebration, had a great time. And then we spent a month or more in Oceania. We spent a couple weeks in Australia and then 3 weeks in New Zealand. So it was a fabulous time that cost a small fortune. And then I was going and telling stories about it anyway. So at the time, they had this program with Great Escape Publishing, which sadly doesn't exist anymore, but it taught you how to be a travel writer. So I went and attended the conference, and in preparation for it, I'd reached out to one of my local magazines where I lived at the time. And I said, "Hey, I'm interested in doing travel writing, and I really love this. And the topic I love most in Prescott, Arizona is that it's Christmas City. And they have the most beautiful courthouse, and it has the most spectacular events around Christmas time, starting with Acker Night, which is one of those things really for artists and musicians. It's usually the first Friday, and you go and you take single dollar bills, and everywhere you see an open shopping bag, you put a dollar bill in it because those are the donations that go. The money that is made in that one night creates the foundation for the expenses for the entire arts and music program for all of Prescott and Prescott Valley for all ages, from cradle to grave, if you will.
Wow.
So I really love that. And they're like, "Oh," so I pitched it to Prescott women, and they said, "Yeah, we'd love an article about that." So I even went with an article like sold. And I went and I learned how to set up the article properly and what to do with it and what pictures I needed. And before that class was done, I think it was a long weekend class or program, I had sold that article. And since then, I've had more than 400 published. So it was really about being able to ask nosy questions, because I like to ask them anyway, but this way you kind of have an excuse. Because normally when you're out vacationing, you're not going to be like, oh, well, how much does it cost for this? Or how did you get to do that? Or how is it that you and this person work this particular way? And so it helps you look at the vacation differently. It's a great job. It's not an easy job. And a lot of the times when you go on something like a press trip, they pay for everything for you, which is a great privilege. And in return, you write articles for them. The thing I really like about being a travel writer is I don't write anything negative. I'm not out to hurt anybody's business. And if there's a problem, I'll usually just direct my comments to the place. Or they'll teach you things like if there's no parking somewhere, you say, do yourself a favor, take an Uber. You know, parking is tight. Something like that. You wouldn't say, oh my gosh, not being able to find a parking spot ruined my entire night. You help people get around that. So I have regular publishers and editors that I work with, and I need to get back out and start pitching more, get
Is
different
it still
stuff.
possible to be a travel writer? The world is changing so much in terms of publishing.
I definitely think there's a place for it. It was really difficult during COVID because travel writing was shut down. Before that, I'd actually built my business of travel writing so much that I could pay all of my household expenses with my travel writing money. And that was really great because my doctor money needed to go to paying for my daughter's graduate school and some at college. So that was really good timing for us to have that work together. When I lost that income stream, it was much harder. So I don't get paid nearly as much now as I used to. And I think it would be difficult to be a full-time travel writer. But to do it in addition to some other income producing job, I think is a really nice way to balance right and left brain.
Again, I have to ask about the balance. When is there time to travel if you're a doctor with a child? How do you do that?
Well, the good thing, one, is that my daughter's graduated from school. So she can be independent. She's back living with me right now after an accident, but she can be independent. The second thing is my hospitalist job. I work 84 hours a week. So it's a really tough, grinding week, the week I work, but then I'm off a week. So it might be a day of travel to get home or a day of recovery, but then I have 5 or 6 days that I choose what to do with. So whether I'm going and doing things, writing articles, participating in our Final Twist group activities, or my other writing activities here in Celebration, going to Disney World because I love the parks, all of those things, are seeing any of my foster kids and their kids, whatever it is that we do, it can definitely fill the week.
Yeah, that's fascinating. 84-hour weeks, really? What are your hours?
7 to 7.
7 to 7. Wow.
Yeah. And whether we start on Monday or Tuesday, and here in Florida, I understand most of the time they start on Wednesday, but you work from Monday to Sunday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So it can be really hard. And I am not a fan of Mondays in any way, shape, or form. Picking up a new service is really a hard thing to do. But the
Yeah.
most important thing is taking great care of the patients.
Well, let's talk about your fiction writing. Are you still doing that? Why do you do that?
So Cash would be the first to tell you, I am not nearly as good at prose as I was at screenwriting because I like the spare style. But I think I'm getting better at it as we've progressed. I've just finished our third and fourth stories, my third and fourth stories for our next anthology. And I think that they are getting stronger all the time. I'm getting better with description, but still trying to keep it tight. It's funny that we have that 10,000 word limit. And sometimes I'm like, I'm stuck at 3 or 4,000. And Cash is like, you need to beef this up a little. And then all of a sudden it's 12,000 or 13,000. It's like, you need to cut it back a little. And I'm like, no, why can't it just be one or the other? But one story, like I think I wrote the first draft in probably 8 hours. And then the story that followed up on it probably took me 20. And some people will still say that's fast, but it's good to get it out and just to have that creative outlet.
Mhm. When I write, I find myself in a waking dream state. You say you've lost the ability to dream. Would you say that writing is, in a sense, an alternate dream state for you?
It's not, unfortunately. I can definitely get into a flow state, which I really appreciate when it seems to come easily, but it's not nearly as easy to do as it was when I was able to dream. What I do instead, because I don't have that, is I'll try and figure out before I go to sleep at night, even though I'm not having dreams, my brain is still working. I'll try and figure out if I'm having a problem with the story or a problem with an article. Like, think about what problem I'm trying to work through. And in the morning, I usually have an answer, if not to last night's question, the night before. And then I swim every day for about an hour. So having that kind of activity, if I have a problem, then I ask myself in advance, okay, oh, what is it that I need to fix? And while I'm swimming or active that way, I usually come up with an answer. And I think the easiest thing to do, like a lot of people would say, oh, well, I have writer's block, and they stop. When I have writer's block, I just turn to the next thing I'm working on and just keep writing and keep, because as you continue the activity, I think you'll go back and you'll find the fix to the challenge that you had. And then, of course, being in a great writers group like ours, it's like, so how would you suggest I fix that? And then that kind of brainstorming can really help too.
Yeah. Um, if this is too personal, you don't have to answer, but I am curious, have you ascertained for a fact that you're not dreaming, or is it possible you're simply not remembering the dreams?
No, I actually remember the dreams. I'm not dreaming.
So you're not going into REM at all.
Doesn't seem to be.
Okay, and you haven't, is there a way to confirm that?
EEGs.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't done one in years, but I've had them.
yeah, okay. I guess you miss your dreams?
I do very much. I also miss waking up feeling refreshed.
Yeah, sure. Wow. Well, my sympathies to you. That's a really tough, interesting. Do you know other people in that situation? Is there a group for people that don't dream?
I don't think it's uncommon for people with chronic pain because it's so uncomfortable. It's hard to get into those deep sleep states, but I'm not aware of any support groups, but I haven't sought them out either.
Yeah. Um, Looking at your vast array of accomplishments, I would call you a success, but lots of people who are very successful don't consider themselves successes. Do you consider yourself a success?
I consider myself to be a very successful physician and a very successful mom. I'd like to be a successful wife. And I'm not sure, and I think I'm a successful writer, but I don't know if it's, I think if I needed to give up medicine in the near future, for example, I would rather be a best-selling writer than, the best writer. So I'd love to be able to put my message out to people in a way that they found helpful and rewarding and in a pleasant way to write for them to read.
Well, in that vein, what advice could you give a creative individual from your vast experience?
So, whatever your medium, whether it's music, art, writing, whatever it is, just number one, do it. Number two, take classes in it. Number three, learn from other people that have been where you are. And number four, learn from people who are where you want to be. Because if all you do is like or enjoy it, but you don't do anything about it, you're not going to get anywhere. So, whatever that next step is, if you have a vision for where you want to go, take the next baby step to get there. Because over time, all of those baby steps will get you where you want to be.
That's excellent advice. Gail, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. It's really nice to get to know you a little bit better. And if you want to come back and talk some more about anything in particular, go deeper on a subject, I would love to have you back.
It would be my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you, audience, as always, for joining us. We hope you're enjoying this series, especially the series with writers, since it's a bit off the beaten track for our largely musical explorations. But I love these writers' explorations. And if you love them too, let me know and I'll find more writers to talk to. And if you're a writer and you want to talk to me, I would love to talk to you too. So come find me. Uh, my name's Adam, and this is True or Mew, and we will see you next time.